And we have a crazy busy show today. David Lehman, I guess I can't call him Dr. Lehman yet. He doesn't have the documentation to me, but is there some type of, mill that you can get?
He's got a BS, and we all know what that stands for. Then he's going to get an MS. It's more of the same.
Anyway,
the PhD is piled high and deep.
Dave is the NDSU Engineering Extension Specialist, and he's in studio today to talk a lot about 3D printers. We talk a lot about this all the time. A little bit later in the show, we also have Braden Moreno. He is the CEO of Robo 3D. So we're going to have quite a conversation in about a half hour about 3D printing and what to look forward in the future. We also have mobile app specialist Gerald Leiner. He's with Good Inspire, and he'll be joining us shortly. We'll be talking about Rolobot. I think this is a very cool device. It's on Indiegogo right now, and you got to check this thing out. It's very cool for it's a unique way for home security, so I think it's pretty cool. Jason Mudd with Cool Car will also be joining us. It's a solar power device to cool your car in the summertime, when it's not running, so that's kind of cool. Then we also have Paul Hendrickson, IT consultant with True North Enterprises, as well as an interview with somebody from the Valuation app. So we have quite a show today, and we're just going to get right into it. Of course, our producer extraordinaire, Jim Walsh. Jim, how you doing?
Not too shabby.
Yeah? Have a nice weekend?
Good, yeah. Went to the doctor this morning, had some blood drawn. That's always
nice.
Fun.
So you're running late, I'm running late.
Yeah.
The only person here on time was Dr. Dave.
Well, of course.
The engineer.
And of course, the engineer was on time, so that's a good thing. So anyway, we're going to get right into it. Jarrell, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Doing fine as well. I think Jim has a question for you, by the way.
The geezer has a question.
Oh, the geezer has a question.
Hey, Jarrell, how are things on Krypton?
I get that probably on a weekly basis.
Are you serious?
Yes, definitely. And actually, I'm a very big fan of Superman, so, it turned out well for my parents, I guess.
Very, very cool. So you have an app called Good Inspire. How long ago did you launch the app?
Well, the app itself is actually called Goodspire.
Goodspire.
Which is basically, you're taking the word goodness and inspiration and kind of blending them together. And the app was initially launched in this beta testing phase back in October of 2013.
Okay.
And then this month we actually officially launched it, so to speak, after several months of testing things and different features and options within the app. And like I said, this month we actually launched it, a very simple version, kind of like a phase one of the application in both iTunes as well as in Google Play.
Very cool. So what inspired you to build an app?
Actually, my background is in technology. I've been in software as well as mobile app development for about 10 years now. And, for me, I've always been that person that's been, just inspired to do good things in the community, always volunteering, always giving back. And, I know that, from my standpoint, I know that technology is really the main way to reach people in this day and age. And for me, I look at what is something that people have with them all the time. You say your cell phone. People don't leave their home without their cell phone. So for me, the inspiration to develop an app came from that, just knowing that people carry their cell phones on a regular basis. Why not be able to engage with them on something or a device that they have with them constantly? And then that's where the idea of Goodspire came from. And then from there, it was just developing something that was very simple that allows people to basically log into an application every morning, get some inspiration or some encouragement, maybe that extra little push that you need to kind of get you out there for the day to be the best you that you can be.
So let's say I have the Good Inspire app on my phone, and I look at my phone right away this morning. What kind of message am I going to get?
The message that you're going to get on a regular basis will be just something inspirational. Something that may encourage you. Everybody has issues. Everybody has situations that they're dealing with. So basically, every morning you'll get a push notification letting you know that there's some new good inspiration within the application. And when you open it up, you'll be able to watch a video that may be in relation to somebody that's dealing with a certain issue and how they overcame that. Or maybe it's just a motivational video that may get you kind of pumped up, to kind of get your energy going as you're moving throughout your day. And it's something that I know I need every Monday morning. And then you also may see an image that depicts something that is encouraging to you. And then we also have good news. And the good news is basically, good things that are going on in the world. As you know, if you watch the news on a regular basis, there's always something negative happening. So, we kind of shine a light on the good things that are happening that are news stories across the world.
All right, Jarrell, how do we find your app again?
The application, it is available in iTunes as well as in Google Play. You can just search the word Goodspire, and it should come right up.
All right, Jarrell, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, and maybe let's get back together in a month or two and give us some updates on how it's going. Okay. All
right, appreciate that, right. And I definitely appreciate you guys having me on the Tech Ranch, and hope you guys download the app, and I look forward to speaking with you in a couple of months. Yeah,
I'm actually gonna download it and play with it myself a little bit later today, so I'm excited to try it out. So thanks, Jarrell.
I appreciate that, guys. Have a good
All right,
day.
Take care. All right, everybody, and now we're going to move on to Rolobot, and I just turned the screen over to you're going to get hung with this moniker now, Dr. Dave. I just love that. So, yeah, you're going to have to move up from engineer to doctor. I better clarify that, I guess. That might be a move down for some people, but the Rolobot, it is the rolling cam robot with Wi-Fi control. So, basically, this device, and it's on Indiegogo right now. So for those of you who know about Indiegogo, it's a crowdfunding campaign for this device. And basically, this device has a camera on it, and it's also a robot. So it rolls around your house or your office. So if you want to check something out, instead of having maybe 20 or 30 cameras or whatever, or 5 cameras in your house or your office or whatever, you might be able to minimize that a little bit with this. What do you think, Dave?
I think it's very cool. You should be able to, kind of get in there where, your typical cameras aren't gonna be. So I think it's a very neat idea.
Yeah, I think so too. Of course, the camera can come up, and you can roll it to wherever you need to. So if you needed to check on a pet or a loved one or what have you. This actually is kind of a cool device. I'm also thinking for, if there ever was a fire or something in your house and you had this thing in there, you could probably use this to wander around. And I know there's other devices like this too for that, but this is actually a lower cost device than what I've seen out there before. They have some of the security things that I've seen. There's like a ball you can throw in. Have you seen these?
Oh, no, I haven't.
Okay, they have a lot of cameras built in. You throw this ball into a burning house or something, and these cameras will send back imagery from that.
Okay,
but this is probably a little better scenario because you already have this in-house, so it's pretty cool. So anyway, go to Indiegogo.com, everybody. Check this out. It is the Rollybot, ROLLYBOT, and you can pick one of these up if you go to Indiegogo. The early bird special is just $159, and this thing will roll around your house and send imagery back to your smart devices. So go check it out. After the break, everybody, Dave and I will have our conversation on 3D printing, so come on back.
Right now, 73.
Our own radio station. Not Fargo, not the Twin Cities. Proud to be Bismarck and Mandan's own Super Talk 1270.
Follow the Guru of Geek at Facebook.com/The Tech Ranch or Twitter at Guru of Geek or TheTechRanch.com. Here again is your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
And we want to welcome everybody who listens to our broadcast on the Blueberry Network. Of course, we're on the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. We are now on Tuned In. And, of course, our own app, Radio Pup. Woo! We're just all over the place now. Yeah. It's crazy. On the phone, we have Jason Mudd. Jason is with Cool Car. How you doing, Jason?
Good morning. I'm doing terrific, thanks.
Hey, this is exciting. I have an engineer here sitting next to me, David Lehman, and we were just going over Cool Car right now. This is actually a very cool device.
Well, it is. Thank you. That's why we called it Cool Car, for not only the pun intended, but also the fact that it's designed to keep your car cool when it's parked in the hot summer months, and your car really operates like an oven. And a better way to do that is to get more air, or get fresh air cooling the car and circulating, so that instead of being an oven, it's just as warm in your car as it is outside.
Sure. So why don't you just give us a quick rundown on how this works?
Well, so it's a solar-powered car ventilator. It's very lightweight, very elegantly designed, and the solar panel is outside of your window, and the cooling fans are inside your window. Use a rubber strip to make sure that installation is in nice and snug, and then as soon as the panel is in contact with the sun's rays, it immediately starts firing up and running, and begins keeping cool air circulating into your car. And there's a lot of discussion about the danger. There's toxins that are coming from the interior plastic inside your vehicle, in addition to the sensitivity of leaving anything in your car during that hot time when it's parked and there's not air conditioning running. Not to mention the expensive price of fuel today, and the idea of running your car just to get the AC going, or the extra energy your car has to use to run that AC while you're driving off.
Yeah, and we're actually looking at Amazon right now. You actually have them on sale for $89. That's a crazy great price, actually.
It is. In my personal vehicle, I bought from the manufacturer I think I paid about $3,000 to have a solar paneled rooftop on my car that keeps the car cool very similarly, all day long. And doesn't take much for my 9-year-old son to go, Dad, I think you should have just bought a cool car instead. My son Simon's a big fan of the cool car, and anytime he gets into somebody's car, he starts telling them, you really should be using cool car. So it's almost a no-brainer for the comfort and convenience.
And for everybody who's listening, that's spelled Kulcar, cool car. And it's a solar-powered car ventilator. I just think this is fantastic. So what is have you done some testing on a car that doesn't have a cool car in it, let's say at 90 degrees, and one that does, and what the difference in temperature is on the inside?
So results will obviously vary depending on a lot of variables,
sure,
including humidity and direct access to sun. But that research and our research, aside, we have determined that a car can get up to 200 degrees Fahrenheit inside, and up to 60 degrees hotter within say as little as 30 minutes of just sitting out in the sun. So even outside temperatures in the 60s can cause a car's interior temperature to rise above 110 degrees, and
sure,
that's from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. That's not even our numbers. So, and we all know that experience. You get in, the steering wheel is too hot to touch, the seatbelt buckle burns your skin, the air is difficult to breathe, and then you're smelling some kind of funny smell like burnt plastic, and that really is generating harmful, potentially cancer-causing toxins like benzamine concentrations.
Okay. And again, everybody, it's Kulcar, Kulcar, and they're available on Amazon. Do you have any other places they're available as well?
Well, we're really steering folks to Amazon to purchase this. We're seeing a lot of interest from people who live, right around Interstate 10 and lower, specifically in those really hot states. But then, for $100, if you can avoid, and even in the north, having cooler weather or cooler temperatures in your vehicle, $100, will go quite a ways. We're really focusing on consumers in Florida and other hot states, like I mentioned, but it comes with a 10-year solar panel warranty and a money-back guarantee. So, almost seems like a no-brainer, especially for your listeners who are, like me, tech geeks and want to check out the newest gadget that comes out. And this would definitely one to get and show your friends, some new technology that's just starting to, pick up here in the U.S.
One other thing, too, we have a lot of storage units and that type of thing. I can see this being used, in those circumstances too. I have an outdoor shed with a lawnmower in it or whatever, and I'd love to be able to get some fresh air in that thing.
Well, if you can figure out a way to install it, there's probably multiple applications for it.
Well, I think most sheds nowadays have a window, so I would imagine as long as it's got a window, we should be able to figure out a way to get this on there, correct?
That's a definite application. I mean, Kulcar is designed for cars, and it's designed to fit in the window, rolling up in a window
right,
of a consumer vehicle. But looking at it, holding in my hand, I'm sure you could engineer it to do, a lot of creative and innovative ways. Especially your readers could probably figure that out too. So, we're on Twitter, and would just encourage anybody to search for Cool Car and send a note to any innovation that they might come up with. You never know, what might be out there.
Sure. All right, Jason, we really appreciate it. Everybody, Cool Car. KULCAR. Go check it out because it's actually a very, very cool device. So thanks, Jason.
Hey, thank you for your interest.
You bet. All right, Mr. David, 3D printing. You have one.
Yep. We just picked up a MakerBot Replicator 2.
Okay.
And we've been using it a little bit for prototyping and getting kids and industry kind of educated on what additive manufacturing is.
All right. And why don't you tell us a little bit about what a 3D printer is for those who may not know what a 3D printer does?
3D printer basically takes a digital model and slices it up into various layers, and then it'll print with the printer I've got anyways, it'll print with plastic and layers that are about the thickness of a sheet of paper, and it'll build that model layer by layer. What a lot of people may not know is that you can also print with a lot of other materials as well, metals, ceramics, all sorts of different things.
So right now, have you done any prototyping with your 3D printer yet? And can you share maybe some of the examples that you've done?
Well, we're actually we haven't had the printer very long. We've made a couple of prototype pieces for like the medical industry. But when you're looking in the region, there's a lot of manufacturers that are also using 3D printing for prototype parts. A lot of times they're using it for kind of testing form, fit, and function before they may make the parts out of steel or, using the other types of manufacturing methods.
Sure. So, and even in the realm of regular 3D printers, what's the other name for 3D printing?
Well, it actually started as additive manufacturing.
Okay.
So basically you've got more or less three types of manufacturing processes. You've got formative manufacturing, which is kind of like your casting and that type of stuff. You've got subtractive manufacturing, which is your milling, machining, that type of thing. And then you've got additive manufacturing, which is welding, assembly, and your 3D printing.
Okay. So we have I'm looking at your cell phone right there. You have a cell phone case on this. All right. If you had the CAD for that case, are you able to print that right now?
Yes, I would be able to. Yeah.
So that's capable right now. Now, you also have a digitizer by MakerBot. So if I had a statue, whatever, or an ornament or whatever in my house, and the reason I'm bringing this up is I want to know what's capable right now. Okay. Am I able to take like a figurine that my wife has or something and put it on this digitizer, and then this thing will replicate it?
Yep, absolutely. In fact, being an NDSU employee, we've got a little bison statue that I scanned with the replicator and printed out with the printer.
So I just want to clarify this so everybody that's listening, the capability is there right now to actually scan an image or a device. So if you have a figurine or a cup, now we're not talking huge stuff, although that's probably, of course, possible too, but we're just talking about everyday stuff you have in your house. If you wanted to reproduce a cup, you have that capability.
Yep, absolutely. In fact, the envelope, I don't remember what it is exactly, but you're probably looking at about a 5 or 6 inch cylinder by 7 or 8 inches high for the digitizer.
Okay.
MakerBot.
Okay. And I think one of the things that I've noticed when I look at people the first time that are being introduced to 3D printing is I don't think most people realize how slow the process is yet. It is extremely slow, is it not?
Yep, it's very slow.
Yep. So it's not something that you replicate a figurine in 15 minutes or whatever. I mean, it takes hours and hours and hours to do this stuff.
Yep, it does. A lot of the things that you print out might take 2 to 4 hours, depending on kind of the size.
All right. Everybody, after the break, Braden Moreno from the CEO of Robo 3D will be joining our conversation on 3D printing. So come on back.
Right now, 73.
Get the app called Radio Pup for your iPhone and take us everywhere you go. Bismarck and Mandan's own Super Talk 1270.
We're back to the Tech Ranch. Stream this program now at supertalk1270.com. Here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
And in studio, we have David Lehman. David is the NDSU Engineering Extension Specialist and been dabbling with 3D printers a little bit. In fact, he's probably one of the foremost experts in our area. And on the phone, we have Braden Moreno. Braden is the CEO of Robo 3D. How you doing, Braden?
Hey, good. How you gentlemen doing?
Hey, we're doing great. So we're just going to jump right into it here because I know we're going to run out of time. So this is going to be a conversational style interview. So we're just going to ask you probably a ton of crazy questions. But let's just start with what Robo 3D is.
Yeah, I mean, we started about 2 years ago, building our first, actually it was about 2.5 years ago, building our first machine. Actually, my business partner was doing prosthetic limb construction using 3D printing. So when we were using that, we were using big industrial machines. We got fascinated by the technology and started to build our own, smaller scale hobby machine. And then it led into us doing a bunch of research in the industry and finding some gaps and, designing our own product from scratch. And so we built our Robo 3D printer. We have currently one model. It's really low cost, $799 out the door. It has a big build volume, a lot of good features on it. And, so we're bringing that to the world right now and working on some other stuff as well.
Very cool. So so you have one model that's available to the general public right now, and you're looking at adding to your line a little bit?
Yeah, we're actually building what we call an affordable industrial solution machine. So that's going to be a little bit more expensive, but it's going to be, as featureful as machines that are in the $5,000 range, and this is going to be probably around $1,500 to $2,000.
Okay.
And then we're building a smaller machine as well. So we're building a really mini style machine that's going to be around the $399 price point.
Wow.
So we're excited. They're almost actually both close to complete right now.
Okay.
We should be launching them by the end of the year.
So how large are you able to print right now?
We can print 10 by 9 by 8, and for a personal, that's 720 cubic inches, and for a personal 3D printing machine, that's almost double what the industry average is. And a lot of the people that are buying machines right now, kind of denote the size of what you can print as what the price is going to be. For some reason, bigger printers cost more, and for our size and build space, our price is really good price.
Now I see you have an SD card slot on the Robo 3D too. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, you can, this is one of the things that we just added, and we're working on some other stuff, like screen implementation and things like that, but you can load stuff onto the SD card. You can do that on with a lot of the other machines, and then in our software, you can just directly print to your SD card. And so what that'll allow you to do is kind of pull the cord out and 3D print when you're not tethered.
Sure, so you could take this anywhere as long as you have whatever you need on that SD card. You can literally take this in the field and print if you want to.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
you need a power source, but other than that, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, so you said you've dabbled with prosthetics a little bit. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, my business partner was working, on a senior project. We went to San Diego State University, and he was building a prosthetic leg using an industrial 3D printer, and that's kind of how it all got started. It was a big project, big task, creating joints and things like that. And, he was able to actually completely build this prosthetic leg, and it cost him, he used an industrial machine, it cost him a couple $100, but, when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, prosthetic legs and things like that are, thousands and thousands of dollars. So the amount of savings, and not only that, the amount of customization that they were able to do with 3D printer was outstanding.
Very cool. And everybody, we are talking to Braden Moreno. He's the CEO of Robo3D, and you can go to his website, robo3dprinter.com. That's robo3dprinter.com. Very, very cool design with your printer. And by the way, our engineer, David Lehman, he's sitting here right now, and I think he's writing more than I'm talking, Braden. So you must have some questions for him, David.
No, I just think it's very cool. The price point is very good, especially it looks like you've got auto leveling as well, in addition to the big build volume.
So, I came in on the call when you guys were talking about the scanning stuff. We're working on some scanning as well. But a lot of people don't know about, the AutoCAD 123D. It's an application for your smartphone. And so things like that, and you can just scan directly from your smartphone, and you can send that file to yourself and print it out. So that, and those kind of things are going to be happening more and more where, the technology you already use every day is going to become applicable to, things like 3D scanning and stuff that allow you to do 3D printing at home.
Have you done that with your phone already?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we do it all the time, actually. It's not it's not the greatest software yet. There is some gaps as far as what you can do, but, really simple objects, you can definitely scan them, fairly easily.
So when you say you scan it with your phone, I mean, do you have this on some type of platen or something that you slowly spin to scan?
Yeah. Well, you can. It's a picture based one, so you actually take like pictures around the object, and it kind of walks you through it, and then that'll turn it into a digital file.
So it kind of stitches them. Stitches them together to create that 3D image.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
I can't believe this. I have never seen this before. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a fantastic application, and like I said, things like this are going to be happening more and more, where it's going to become more and more accessible. And on top of that, another thing that a lot of people don't know, the listeners out there, is that there's access to over probably 500,000 files online right now that are just free.
Right.
Websites like Thingiverse.com where you can just go on and press search anything in the search bar, find something that you need or want, and download it and print it out at home, and it costs you nothing to do that. And this big sharing community right now, and it's not just like when you buy a 3D printer, it's not like you're just buying a machine and you have to learn CAD to actually use it. You can just go online and find things and print them out.
Well, I think it's amazing that you can just take your cell phone or your smart device and take some photos and actually print from that. So, Dave here just made the comparison that 3D printers are like the dot matrix printers of yesteryear as far as speed and things go. That's only going to get better and better, of course. But this is advancing at such a great rate. I mean, you think about this. I mean, nobody thinks anything now of taking a photo with their smart device and printing it on a piece of paper.
Yep.
In the future, in the future, that'll probably be very commonplace for 3D objects as well.
Yeah,
that's
most
crazy.
Definitely.
So
yeah, we have a long way to go in the space. I mean, the speed is definitely a concerning factor. I mean, a lot of people, and this is why we did a big survey, and we found like millennials were one of the lowest people that were actually buying machines. The younger generations, 16 to 25-year-old range. And the reason being is because it's such a hyperactive community, and they're so used to things on demand and things quickly. And so, I think personally that for them to have to wait hours and hours for things to make, it's not appealing to them yet. So
right.
We have to take large steps in increasing the speed of the machines.
Absolutely. But you get somebody old like me, when we've been around this stuff for a long time, I used to be able to sit and watch for hours as a piece of paper was printing out of an inkjet machine. I mean, that was just fascinating to me. So this kind of falls in that same realm. So
it's all relative to me. When I think about it, it depends really on the application when you talk about speed. I mean, when you want to design a prototype of a piece, I've done this. I've started other companies in the past, and the prototyping process alone in some of my previous companies, it took me a year of prototyping and thousands of dollars just to make one single thing. And to have a 3D printer and do it on demand, it might take 10 hours to do a specific piece, but you got to think about how much that's saving you in time, and cost, and energy, and going back and forth. And then if you need to change something, you can just do it quickly on demand and reprint that actual piece again. So in that application, it's really actually significantly faster than anything else you would ever do.
Yep. Dave?
Yep, that's a great point. I work quite a bit with manufacturing, and right now you see an awful lot of additive manufacturing technologies used with prototyping, and as things get faster and possibly a little bit better resolution on some of this stuff, you're going to see it transition from the manufacturing from the prototyping over to the manufacturing.
Yeah.
So in your we only have a couple minutes left here, Braden, but let's just think forward a little bit here, both you and Dave. Where do you think this goes? I mean, what is the most outrageous, crazy thing you can think of that 3D printing will impact in the future?
Well, I personally just, when I look at it kind of down the road and kind of see what's going to happen with the industry and especially with businesses and whatnot, I just see kind of this whole shift, not only in like retail, consuming online shopping and things, going to more digital formats where, you go online instead of buying something and getting shipped to you and all that kind of stuff. You're just going to buy a file and print it out at home. And that's going to be a huge thing. It's going to be large businesses that have things like replacement parts and things like that, where instead of warehousing large amounts of inventory, they can just warehouse a digital inventory. And then from home, you're just able to go, this piece on my washer machine broke. Okay, well, I go on and find part number, whatever it is, download it and print it out at home instead of actually going through that whole process of finding a replacement part and or contacting the company. So things are just going to become much quicker and much more on demand at home.
Interesting. Dave, how about you?
Yep, I agree completely. You're going to see, I think right now you've got distributors or warehousers that are bringing in product from all over. So initially, those folks could hold a digital inventory and start shipping those out. I think I think when it's matured that you're going to see just residential printers that are really going to cut into retail, brick and mortar and traditional manufacturing.
Okay. The other thing I think it's going to really impact is exploration. I know that's thinking a little far-fetched, but I think about space exploration. I mean, the ability to, if you ever wanted to set up shop on Mars, for example, you don't have to bring your whole inventory along. You can just bring a 3D printer and create stuff as you need it. So
anyway, they're doing this already, with food and things like that.
Absolutely.
And it just makes much more sense to bring, powder-based food up into space and then 3D print actual meals.
Absolutely. Well, Braden, we're out of time. Really appreciate you being on the show today. It's been great.
Yep, no problem. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, take care.
Right now, 73.
Get the traffic and weather information you need anytime on Super Talk 1270 and online at supertalk1270.com.
Follow the Guru of Geek everywhere he goes. Post your comments or questions at thetechranch.com. Once again, your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
And in studio, David Lehman, NDSU Engineering Extension Specialist, and we have an event tonight.
Yep.
Yeah, so you're going to be at Startups and Standouts in Mandan, and I know for everybody's listening across country around the world, that is probably a little ways away from you, but locally, Mandan, North Dakota, we have an event that we highlight some startups and that type of thing, and we thought it'd be cool to bring you in to show 3D printing because I think this does have dramatic impacts on our startup businesses as well.
Yep, absolutely. When you talk about getting into prototyping and that type of stuff, I'm actually located in Bismarck in a business incubator.
Okay.
So they bring in inventors and that type of thing. So it is a tool that we can use to kind of get a prototype out there so that inventors can get a feel for the fit, form, and function of their invention.
Sure. And, if you're interested in attending, it actually is open to the public. You can go to eventbrite.com, eventbrite.com. Get your tickets. It's all the food you can eat and wine tasting. And after you've had a couple glasses of wine, you can go over and talk to Dave and ooh and ah over his 3D printer. So should be a lot of fun tonight. We're really looking forward to it. So other things that you can think of moving forward, because now we're kind of towards the end of the show. I really want to get into where you think the future, besides the manufacturing end of it. I mean, do you see implications in medical or anything along those lines as well?
Yep. The push into medical is huge. Right now, you've got manufacturing, you've got architectural models, that type of thing. But the push into medical is huge. They've 3D printed ears, jawbones, blood vessels, bone. The interesting thing, it's kind of neat when they're looking at printing bone. You actually use a couple of different materials. You use a scaffolding, which also doubles as a food source, and then you've also got a biological material that prints at the same time. So you could do a scan of a bone, create the kind of the honeycomb scaffolding / food source, and then infill that with your biological material. It basically creates your bone.
Interesting. So what about even how we treat broken bones nowadays? I mean, are we gonna start seeing like exoskeleton type of situations as opposed to maybe casts and things like this?
It's very possible. I think right now the medical industry is just kind of trying to feel its way out. You know, the jawbone. There was a lady in her 80s that had a kind of a infection or degenerative condition on her jawbone, and they actually created a new one and implanted it. So whether that goes exo or whether that's implanted, I think you're going to see a little bit of both.
So how's she doing?
I'm not even sure.
Okay.
I assume well.
Okay. I know we talked to a doctor on the show 5-6 months ago that did the ear in Germany, by the way, and it was very fascinating because he was talking about, I just expected that, a person would take a DNA sample and maybe come back 3 or 4 months later, and they were talking about, oh, no. He came in that morning and we were putting the ear on that afternoon, and I'm like, how's that even possible? But I guess they have some type of a bio matter or something that they inject a DNA sample into, and it's literally within hours ready to produce something. So amazing.
And it's with the medical industry, you've got some things that are, like your steels and ceramics and different things like that, the different materials that are being used for the dental industry for,
sure.
Creating replacements for bones and that type of thing. But the exciting part, and we're kind of, in the infancy, would be the creation of actual organs.
Yep.
So the more complex the medical system is that we're trying to reproduce, the longer it's going to take. But right now, they're able to print the cells or tissues for liver and that type of thing.
Okay.
So you're probably going to see full organs coming into fruition. Whether that's
that would be amazing. And absolutely an amazing thing. We are having some feedback issues, aren't we, Jim? I'm just saying that if you're hearing a little hum or something, everybody out there, it's on our end, not on your radio or whatever. So, but anyway, the possibility with organs is just amazing to me because you think about the transplant situation right now. I mean, there are people that are on donor lists for years, actually die waiting for some type of organ transplant. We might actually be able to fix this with 3D printers.
Yeah, I think it's probably that future is coming, I believe.
Okay.
You're already seeing it used quite a bit in dentistry and things like that. But, with the organs, there's a lot of emphasis being put toward developing complete organs.
And I think one of the things with this process is, there's always that fear of rejection of organs or whatever, but because the process that they're going through right now is basically borrowing or taking a person's own DNA and creating, from a biomass type of situation. So the opportunity for your body to reject these parts is going to be, I think, far removed simply because it's basically your own body again.
Right.
So,
it's recognizing it as it's, as it being created by itself.
Right. So, I mean, you think about this moving forward, it's the implications are amazing. I mean, I don't know if we're talking about, increasing our longevity because of this, but I'd say that's a possibility. Certainly our quality of life, because as we age, our body deteriorates a little bit. Of course, you're seeing, there's a lot of medical advances right now that allow you to have that better quality of life later on. But this is dramatic.
Yep, I agree. In both cases, the quality of life as well as the longevity will both increase as a result of 3D printing.
Unbelievable. Absolutely. And who would have thought, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, that inkjet printing, which in itself is an amazing tool, throwing dots of ink onto a paper or whatever, but how that has evolved into the ability to actually print organs, possibly, to print spaceship parts, to, it's just amazing. It really is.
Yep. Yeah, it is amazing. And a lot of people think that 3D is like a new technology, but it actually dates back to, they were initially doing some digging into it in the 70s, and then first commercialized additive manufacturing or 3D type machines back in the late 80s. But you're right now, I think probably since maybe 2005 with the RepRap and open source, it's really opened up 3D printing. So I think you're going to see the technology just absolutely explode, whether that's in the medical industry or the, manufacturing or...
I think it's going to be all inclusive. I think it's going to go... So talk a little bit about RepRap. What is that?
RepRap is an open source project, I guess, that was started in University of Bath, UK in 2005, where basically what they were trying to do is create a 3D printer that could basically create another 3D printer.
Okay.
So it's self-replicating. And it was an open source. So what it did is it brought various contributing inventors together to create an open source archive of technology, basically. So now folks can look at what was done with the RepRap project and make printers that might be $300 to $1,000, whereas if it was all done through private industry, you would probably be a lot higher than that.
Sure. And would you agree that almost all 3D printers nowadays actually have something about RepRap in them?
Yep, I would agree. When you look at like your MakerBot and the Cube and the various fused filament or fused deposition modeling, basically your 3D plastic printing, most of those are built upon the RepRap program. Most of those platforms are. And I think you're also going to see other 3D printing technologies that are going to borrow bits and pieces from that as well over time.
Sure. So the most popular 3D printers right now, what would you say they are?
Well, I would say probably the most popular, because they're getting into the retail space. You've got MakerBot, which Home Depot just started selling. And then you've also got, and MakerBot was just purchased by Stratasys. And then you've also got the Cube by, I believe, 3D Systems that is marketed through Staples. So you're starting to see these printers, go into the mainstream now. So
I think the Robo 3D too. I'm going to pull it back up here, but I love the design of this thing.
Yep.
I guess I went away from it already, but I think that's going to make some inroads too.
I think that's got a lot of potential as well. Looking at the functionality and basically the utility for the price is very good.
So pricing wise, you can actually get into a 3D printer for in that $400 range, but you kind of get what you pay for here, correct?
Right. You can get in probably around $400, but you go up. I think the printer that we purchased was $2,000.
Okay.
And that's got a little bit bigger print envelope and that type.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to cut you off there. So anyway, everybody, have a great week. Remember, if you're in the Bismarck-Mandan area, stop by Startups and Stand-Ups tonight, and you can see Dave play with his 3D printer. So have a great week, everybody.